Now, I'm just as guilty as the next person for saying, oh, the degrees are dead. We don't need those. You can hire anybody you want without a degree and we'll train them and do all the things. Again, I'm just as guilty of that. And I do stand by that for many employers. And I think the focus on degrees for many entry level positions was misguided and misplaced. And you can find individuals who had the temperament, the aptitude, and the attitude to be able to be just successful with a bit of training as they're coming on board. I can understand why degree requirements are there for many businesses. Again, you do you. We're going to work within the best we can. However, what I'd like to show is now that the tide seems to be turning back again. I think we went for the extremes, right? We always kind of operate there as humans. We're going to be on one side or the other where we've got the everyone needs to have a degree. Well, we're not really worried about a degree. Well, maybe somewhere in the middle it makes sense. And I think the tide is definitely turning where we're getting back towards what that level of equilibrium looks like, specifically when it comes to the higher end type of employers. We're going to take a look at an article from Fortune today that specifically covers that. Again, for those that don't know, my name is Ryan Howe. I'm a business coach that works out of West Michigan and around the country. And I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently every single day, just sharing information I share with my clients. And I hope to earn your subscriptions. Let's get into it here. Now, the link to the article is in the description as always. Employers are increasingly turning to degree and GPA in hiring. Recruiters retreat from talent is everywhere, right? That was the mantra, to double down on top colleges. And one of the things that I've seen too, specifically where I've seen folks struggle with, has been the talent is everywhere without having the framework in place to train those individuals. That's really was key where you saw a lot of businesses struggle there, where they still have to provide training for individuals if they haven't gotten the requisite knowledge from college. So higher education is undergoing an identity crisis. Repeated attacks from the Trump administration, the rise of AI, and budget shortfalls have put top universities on the defensive as public sentiment on the value of college degree soured, especially when it comes to the inflated costs for going to college. And the return on investment for many of those degrees is really low. But a new trend in company hiring suggests that elite colleges aren't losing their edge anytime soon. And that's kind of the difference here, those elite colleges. Now, a 2025 survey of over 150 companies found that more than a quarter, 26%, were recruiting from a brief selection of schools, up from 17% they were doing the same in 2022. What they're saying is these are the colleges that we trust their curriculum and we know exactly what those schools are putting out. And we're going to focus in on them for all the reasons. A lot of it has to do with proximity as well, too. You're going to have alma mater folks, right? They're alums from there that they're going to know, hey, I know what we went through. I know what I got coming out of there. So we can try to control the talent, right? Employers are increasingly turning to degree and GPA in hiring decision. And Shine told Fortune, there's an increasing recognition among employers that they can be more targeted in their approach. Again, the talent is everywhere. Hiring seems to have fallen out of style for many reasons, according to entry-level recruiters. For one, it's expensive. It takes high sums to set up meetings with candidates and get recruiters to campuses across the country. Further, AI-generated resumes have made many applications appear identical, causing some recruiters to fall back on university prestige to distinguish candidates. And for many companies, DEI is no longer a priority. They have that listed in there. Now, what I want to go back to on this, and again, go check out the article, folks. Link is in the description. So what can job seekers do with this information? Well, it's really simple. What you can do is know exactly where you're applying and learn that company as part of your research rather than, just applying and crossing your fingers, dig in and figure out like, okay, is this a place that I see a lot of, especially if you see up in the C-suite where they have a lot of individuals that are from a particular school. That alma mater's probably going to have a better opportunity to be hired for all the reasons that we talked about earlier. And from the hiring manager position, what I would say is the following. I get it. You're getting thousands of applications for every single job ad. How in the world can you figure this out? And you've tried all the different ways, to use AI to sort, and you have your applicant tracking system trying to figure those things out. And none of it is really making sense. So what can you do? And in this case, I get it. You're saying, hey, we can at least go by this college that they got their degree from. We can look at their GPA. So I get that. I really do. No, what I would say is the following. There is still talent everywhere. A lot of this has to do with understanding exactly what you need for those positions. When you lock in college degrees as a discriminator, I would honestly recommend that you put that down, down the stack a little bit as far as your selection criteria, specifically because we do know that there are plenty of people who are successful. It can be another one of those things to help filter and sort, right? You got quality candidate, but they don't have the bachelor. They're from a school you're not sure of. you still want to bring those in and interview them. Like, it's really important. Don't simply just go for the folks that went to the particular college. I understand it. It's a thing. It's been happening for as long as there's been universities and people hiring, right? I mean, I get that. With that being said, you now have from the hiring from the hiring manager side. And get to go back to this so from the hiring managers, remember you have a much larger talent pool out there, and you don't want to discriminate against a potential correct hire simply because they went to the state university instead of the private institution. Just keep that in mind. So again, back to the job seekers. What does this mean for you? This simply just means that you're going to have to do a better job on articulating exactly your skill set, what you can bring, your talent, and leverage your school if it makes sense. That's really where you're at, folks. Again, I don't have better answers for you. It is the constant shifting and changing and that battle between job seekers and, again, the business owners and the hiring managers on bringing the talent in. Who has control? Who has the power? It's just part of the deal. We're currently in the cycle where business owners and hiring managers have, they have the power. Just to make sure you're aware of it, make your adjustments, and good luck out there to everybody. All right. Take care. We'll see you next time.